One.
Matt, don't you dare. Welcome to Plat Chat VALORANT episode 1, technically episode 1, but actually episode 13 because we've done 12 other episodes on the normal Plat Chat Overwatch channel. Welcome to the new home for all things Valorant. Welcome to the only channel you need to subscribe to. Shroud, forget about him. He's washed.
It's kind of wild that we're the only people making a Valorant podcast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No others.
I've never seen anything else like it. So
us is the only one that exists.
Good, we're the pioneers of the game, you know.
Yep, we were there from day one. You know, the OGs, as you like to say, Matt. You know, I know you have
as you have all the Overwatch characters and pictures behind you.
Yep. So welcome to episode 13 of Plat Chat VALORANT, where you did a name change, we've done everything else, and we've got a new home and a new channel, as you can probably tell, because you're watching it on that new channel. I'm going to kick things off starting with Act 3 competitive changes. These are the competitive changes that are going to be coming in with Act 3. They're not happy with the rank system. Going to be making some adjustments to it. They did say that some of these were going to be coming in 2021 with the video I watched. So I think some of them are going to be coming in with Act 3. Some of them are going to be a little bit later. But what they're looking at, I think, in implementing first is going to be tightening the skill disparity that you can queue into, which is a really good change, in my opinion, because I was playing Valorant the other night, and I'm a Diamond 3, Diamond 2 hard-stuck player, and I was getting into some Radiant games. And then in the next game, I was getting in Platinum games. So that kind of disparity kind of sucks to play in, to be honest. So I'm happy that they're tightening up the amount of ranks that one can play with.
This is just the beginning of what I imagine will be a massive overhaul of the competitive system.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, they clearly weren't happy with. Well, maybe they were happy, but maybe the community wasn't happy. And I think what we've seen from Riot this far with Valorant is that when the community is unhappy, they have been quick to make changes to make the community happy. Obviously, I think at the beginning life cycle of a game, you need to keep people playing the game. You need to keep people happy. So now the tighter queue changes probably should have been in place earlier on, especially with a game built around competitive play like this. The preferred server thing, I think, is just like a nice to have.
I mean, that's just,
I kind of forgot that wasn't a thing. I mean, I feel like it should have been from the start because the ping is actually so important in the game.
Yeah.
Playing with high ping blows. So
it put me off from queuing with East Coast friends.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, we used to queue with a single East Coast friend, and it would put us, we would be like 5 stacking, 4 of us living as far west as you could go without pedaling into the Pacific Ocean. Wow. And it would still put us on East Coast servers. If we just played one map with Golden Boy, it was like, yes, hail the national treasure and global icon.
Yeah,
Let's put them all in New York.
Last night, and I was getting like East Coast games.
Yeah, that ain't Falco. So yeah, both of these changes, I think they're going to be implementing at the start. The things that they said they were looking at for 2021 was the Immortal Plus ranks are based on. This might actually be immediate, where there's not going to be your personal performance taken into account once you reach Immortal. It is purely going to be almost like wins and losses and how much you win and loss, or how many rounds.
I actually thought this was how it was. Like I thought this was already in the game. Yeah, the top levels were determined on win loss.
Did I? For whatever reason, I think I'm remembering that they had whoever was in charge of their competitive play early on left, and then it's just kind of
they put out a press release a while back, or not a press release, but someone said in a tweet or something that no one owned
there was nobody in charge essentially of competitive play.
Yeah, no one had like that vision for it moving forwards, and they were actively kind of reshuffling people within the company. There was still people working on it, but no one was at the top kind of. There was
nobody like strategizing like what this thing will be. There were people working on and maintaining it.
Honestly, though, you wouldn't be able to tell. It's been 4 months since Valorant was released, and the amount of changes and iteration has been enormous. It's been just like rapid, great action upon feedback.
It's rare that you get that in a shooting game. I mean, think of all the other big shooters on the market. The only one who's had this type of like rapid updates and willingness to kind of listen to fans really consistently was like Fortnite. Like Fortnite with an update every week, right?
Yeah.
maybe they weren't
Fortnite.
exactly listening to the fans of Fortnite because they added a bunch of shit that made no sense, but
Pretended to, but they pretended
they
to,
updated
and
it,
that's all
right?
that matters.
I mean, it was getting updates. So I think you don't really see it. I mean, CS:GO, they weren't getting any updates until Valorant came out. Overwatch has done a nice job lately, kind of increasing how fast they do updates.
Yeah.
But it's something that's kind of new to the shooter market because it's hard to make consistent updates to a game like that.
I think it's a product of its time, though, where you're releasing a game in this kind of era. You kind of want to get a product out, and the iteration process, normally, like this kind of stuff would be happening behind closed doors like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But
yeah,
so many
getting ready to release the new title and print another $1 billion like Call of Duty does.
No. You just be in early access for 4 years, 5 years. Yeah, early access. Don't worry, it's going to come out eventually.
Someone was telling me that DayZ is actually good now. Who was telling me that?
I think it was me.
Was it you? Yeah, trying to persuade me to play DayZ.
Yeah, I'd heard that DayZ was good now. I had the DayZ itch. I was reminiscing about the glory days.
Because we were talking about it. Like DayZ. And Jack in the house was saying that he wanted to play. Dude, we should get a DayZ start going.
The DayZ podcast.
I'm not even kidding. I actually was speaking. Dude, I've had so many cool gaming moments on DayZ. Is that finally out of early access?
The definition of a team, though, that was just not a team, a game that was just stuck in early access forever. Like the exact opposite of Valorant.
Fortnite just came out of early access June 30th of 2020. It was in early access for 3 years, Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite was in early access.
Was in early access. Yeah.
I mean, how can you even justify that? Like, how can you justify the game being in early access?
$200 million a month in early access. I mean,
imagine when the game gets released. It'll only get bigger, right?
Yeah. I feel like early access is just a title though that game devs slap on, and it has lost all meaning. But that is how I've kind of felt Valorant early on when it was released to be, because there was a lot of criticism for Valorant about it being very bare bones, like only having 4 maps. We still only have 4 maps. Obviously, that's going to change, and we're going to talk about that later with the addition of the Tundra. But in general, the game has been quite bare bones for a new release. It's been polished. Like the general gameplay, the foundation of it has been good, which is why the game has had so much success. But compared to a lot of other games, it's been lacking some other features.
Sure. Yes, I think it's also why you see them being very bullish in terms of their schedule, in terms of agent release. Because I think that's where they know how they can affect the game fast in terms of like adding depth to it. I don't think like they can impact it that much by adding maps. Like I think maps are nice to have, right? And I think we all want more maps, but where you'll see new strategies will arise, new compositions, new gameplay will be in the agents. So I think at least early on with their strategy, it's going to work out quite well. And the fact that you add multiple agents, it'll keep feeling like the game's fresh without really kind of having much else outside of like one new agent every few months, right?
Yeah, I think also when you were talking about Epic Games and Fortnite and the speed at which they would update the game, how frequent that would be, you have to think about how many players in Valorant came from Fortnite as well. There's such a massive crossover that happened where all the disenfranchised PC Fortnite players who were getting wrecked by Xbox players, a lot of them switched over to Valorant. Yeah. And so there are going to be there's going to be a younger audience who's used to a certain kind of update pace. They've been conditioned by Epic Games to expect updates and skins constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's CS like kind of looked like from the outside, like CS looked like that was going to be where they got most of their players, but really it's Fortnite because a lot of those Fortnite players are getting older. Fortnite's not as cool anymore once you become a little bit older, and they are looking for a competitive game, right?
I love that Matt is our like reporter from the Zoomer crowd. He's like, I've been talking to all of the kids. They don't think the game's getting as cool anymore. They're starting to swap over to Valorant.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you see anybody do these dances, you cringe now, dude. At the beginning, dude, Bren was just making
like a 14-year-old.
Bren was making TikTok doing all this stuff, dude. Bren was making TikToks doing all these dances, and now it's not cool anymore.
What the hell did you just say, Matt?
And you were doing all the Fortnite dances. You were recording tons of videos of yourself doing Fortnite dances. You were whipping it. You were doing all those ones,
Yeah, I was
the resident bearded boomer.
The bearded boomer, dude. No way.
Okay, there was some more competitive changes that we need to talk about as well. that are going to be happening, or things that they announced in the video. I don't know if they're in the article, Kurt, if you pull it up, but there was one thing that I do remember, and it was the top 500 leaderboard, which they're going to publicly start bringing out. This is something that a lot of the top ranked players were clamoring for. I think it's super healthy as well for the general live streaming scene. I think for the top level, because generally speaking, you want to see people compete for the top spots, like top Radiant spots. You don't want to see Sinatra make his 4th Smurf and just get Radiant on it, you know?
Exactly.
The race to gain a high rank every single season is something that people love in League of Legends, in Overwatch, and also now it's going to be Valorant as well. This is a really nice change. All these moves that they're making for ranked, it just seems to be just getting better and better and better.
Yeah. They discussed the possibility of making higher ranked games solo and duo queue.
Yeah.
Or not exclusively making them that, but having the option to play them as that as well. I don't think it's something they said they were guaranteed to implement, but it was certainly something that they were looking into it, floating around enough to be able to publicly announce that they're thinking about it, which implies that they're putting some heavy thought into that and how the logistics would work as well. Yeah. I mean, this is everything that top level players have been asking for. That once you get to Radiant, it feels at the moment like you're just stuck. There's nothing else to play for. You now have a leaderboard. There's a lot of people who are mauled in about 5 stacks being able to, just decimate them at the top levels. Well, now you have a duo and a solo queue potentially. It's a massive improvement, and it will trickle down as well. I saw a Reddit post this morning of someone that was that had been playing against Wardell's Smurf and had been accused of stream sniping.
Oh yeah,
he was really angry. The guy was like, he posted on Reddit, and he was like. He was like, I bottom fragged in the game, and I didn't even know I was playing against Wardell, and Wardell was mad at me for stream sniping.
He was being accused of stream sniping. It was on the regular, I think it was the regular Valorant subreddit, right?
Was it actually? I don't know.
I think it was.
I just stumbled across it after I just woken up this morning, or this afternoon. I woke up in the afternoon.
I think a way they could take this game to another level where we haven't kind of seen a shooter go.
There you go. Nice cut.
Is if
this playing aim guy is so good.
He's a psycho. If they implemented the system that they have in League of Legends with the tournaments through the game on the weekends with around
Clash
your
system?
skill like players, the
Clash system.
Yeah, if they were able to kind of take that and implement it into Valorant, that would be so next level for a shooter that the 4 of us and one other person could get in.
Like what Fortnite does. Well, they have the competitions built into the client.
Yes,
like Fortnite was the first game to actually really polish that, by the way.
Yes.
Like that kind of system.
It's so good in Fortnite, man. It is so good. I mean, you play and you genuinely can get paid out right after the tournament if you play.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You get paid through the game, yeah.
It's so good. I mean, incredible. And it's also, again, so many young FPS PC gamers' first competitive experience is playing these in-game tournaments in Fortnite. So if they had that,
they made it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Very
something
cool.
like that in Valorant would be massive. Having some type of like in-game tournament system where you can just log in with your buddies, play for a whole day.
And it's so good for the ecosystem, man. Like the people coming up, the amount of people in Fortnite that were, unknown. One of them, literally, his name is unknown. They would come up in the Fortnite ladder, and now they're like signed to NRG, etc. Like known pros just because they placed in the in-game tournaments.
Well, what's good about it for the ecosystem is it doesn't really impact the people at the higher ranks, right? And even in the middle ranks, it's for the people at the bottom who they can actually find to make friends, compete at people like at their skill level, get them more invested into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be playing in some in-game tournament.
Oh yeah,
structure.
I mean, that's what we did at the beginning of the game in the beta.
We were playing,
we signed up for a bunch of tournaments. The problem is that when people get good, it's very hard to get people at your rank to actually play.
I will say, to defend our play in those early tournaments, we lost to how many? I think we lost to like 2 or 3 teams that ended up going on to win.
A lot of the time they even made it to the finals. A lot of
times we ended up losing to the team.
We got so unlucky actually because we were all going off of the one website. Our seeding for that team was really high because the first tournament we went really far in it because we were just beating a bunch of other
16, right?
We made top 16 in like the first tournament that we played in, and then after that, our seeding on that website was so high it just like we were the ones to beat. So we just encountered a bunch of like really difficult teams pretty early on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is how we're using our platform
for finding it.
to just
We're
try
at
to
a
gas
disadvantage for
ourselves up.
finding it early.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that I'm a hard stuck diamond now, but
Yeah,
we
we're not good.
I found the thread that you were talking about, Josh, with the Morello.
I mean, we don't
Yeah.
want to don't even give this the time
On
of
a
day.
deep dive of this
Don't even give this the
thread.
time of day. Let's talk about the new map that got
analysis
teased.
of it.
Let's talk about the new
But,
map.
Yeah, go on.
The new map
This new map
is it
looks
called Tundra or is
interesting.
it called Icebox?
It's called
Like, what is it?
Icebox.
Ice.
It's called
Icebox.
Icebox, but when they released the video, they said like "Welcome to the Tundra" or something. So I can see why you get confused.
Okay, right, yeah. I mean, do we have any like, do we have an overhead map view? Is it literally just screenshots of various stuff like this video?
Just the screen, like scenics from the
Yeah, this-
video.
I mean, this doesn't
The
tell
map
us
looks
much.
fucking massive.
But that's what
It's
people
so hard
said.
to tell.
But I think people are just dumb. Like I saw that was the common consensus is like this map's huge. But I think people just don't realize that if you take any drone shot of any of these maps, you would think Split was fucking massive based on the spawn.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult to tell what a map is going to look like or how it's going to play or anything. The only interesting thing you can pull away from the small amount of info we have right now is that there's zip lines in it. That's the gimmick for this
there's
map.
zip lines?
Yeah.
Really?
They've said that there's zip lines and you can see them on the map. They're like these little orange wires that are connecting different areas. As much as I love the idea of having a map actually implemented, I don't like the ropes in Split particularly. They are somewhat interesting, but I think the map would be perfectly fine without them. And I don't think the like movable doors in Ascent are great. It's the map design that makes the maps different. You don't need to add a gimmick.
I
Well, if
like
you-
it. It's
you like the
so
zip line?
dumb.
Yeah.
I like it. They took it straight out of Fortnite, added the zip lines. People are going to be jumping off them with ops, trying to 360 people. I like it.
I mean, it
I mean,
seems like
There's
it
no way you can
shoot.
shoot when you're on them, right?
Well,
There's
we
no
don't
way.
know. We don't know. It depends how they balance that.
I would imagine you can, but it's just going to be chaos.
Yeah, you're just going to be
Yeah, yeah.
spraying just all
Yeah.
over the place.
Exactly. So it's for the YouTube clips only. and I like
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's also if the map is bigger, like people were saying, like if it's not just a, people making that observation without really thinking about it. If the map is actually bigger than usual, the zip lines will help with rotations. Like that is probably going to be
True.
the purpose of them, to make sure that you can actually rotate and you're not limited by that.
I think as well, this map looks like it has a lot of high ground.
Yes,
It's
I
something
was gonna
that
say that.
people in Overwatch are going to be mega familiar with. People from like CS or something. There isn't an enormous amount of high ground, low ground deviation across most of these games. And in a game like Valorant, some agents can get to these high grounds quickly and some cannot. So I could see them implementing more maps like this and then releasing more agents that have the ability, like Jett and Omen, to get up to high grounds and have that be like a major theme of this game, is that some people, some agents, their kind of unique selling point is going to be that they can reposition
Verticality.
onto high grounds. Yeah, the verticality. And that, I mean, it's not as much of an advantage as it is in something like Overwatch, but it's still an advantage to have a high ground over somebody in Valorant.
Yeah, I think that's like just seeing the map, and I think that's a great point, Josh. I think the verticality of this map is really gonna fuck with people. Like in shooters, like the oddest thing is to be shot outside of your frame, like kind of die out of frame for when you get shot.
It's going to mess up people who are coming from this kind of tactical background, tactical shooter
Right,
background, like CS,
somebody coming
because
from a Rainbow Six where there's
you
not.
you only aim like this, right?
Yeah.
I've already seen in games, my teammates getting their ankles broken by an updrafting Jett, and like actually their
Yeah.
aim being significantly worse when they're trying to aim kind of vertically.
Because you usually just keep it a headshot
You're, yeah,
level
you're
and
normally
just
keeping your
kinda-
crosshair head
yeah.
level. Like it just kind of fucks with your aim placement. So I could definitely see why. I don't know about CS's history enough to see if they've implemented maps like this. The only one I can think of is like old Vertigo, maybe even current Vertigo. No.
I mean, you have
the-
spots of verticality, like you think of like Mirage, right?
But it's not significant. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like,
nuke is somewhat significant. Like
Yeah.
if you're holding outside and the guy's on top of Marshmallow, like that's about as high ground as you can get on a
what's
map.
the
like that.
yeah.
what's the map, bro? I'm forgetting it. It's the one with the boost, dude. The Olaf boost. What was the map?
Oh,
Overpass.
overpass.
Overpass. There's some verticality on there.
Yeah. The thing is, all of these things that we're saying are high ground on CS maps, they have staircases or ladders so that everyone can access them. What we're kind of talking about, or what we're theorizing about in Valorant, are areas like the middle of B on Haven, where there is no ladder to be able to get up to the top of there. There's no staircase. They're just big blocks. And some agents can get up there, some can't. So you kind of have to use your brain as to whether or not that's an angle that you should.
But I kind of like that though. It's something that more games I feel like should do. And I know Call of Duty's always had this issue in the past. Is like you can affect the meta without balancing the agents, but by designing maps in which it favors certain types of agents rather than others. Right? Instead of trying to make every agent viable on every map, why not make some maps where like Jett is essential, right? Because high ground's essential, or Omen, right? But then maybe on a different map where the high ground's not as important, like you can sub out for a different agent, right? I think that's how they affect balance of the agents, not by just kind of nerfing and moving utility up and down. I think they affect it with stuff like different types of maps, different types of maybe you call them gimmicks or themes of the maps. There goes Bren.
Get some food.
Yeah, you can't even get the first episode of the new the new channel out with him just bailing on the show for food. I mean,
I think it's obviously a great thing that they've added another map. We can actually finally do BO5s, and I like that they've teased it before First Strike, where people are going to get an opportunity to play it before we go into these big matches. But I don't know, man. When I look, the map design at the moment is some of the most limiting factor in Valorant. I think the variety in the maps is interesting, but it hasn't been fully fleshed out. I want to see way more maps to explore different styles of Valorant. I think that's what's gonna open the doors massively. And I just wish the community had the ability to make maps, man. Yeah, I just wish it was possible, like in CS.
I think that with at least these original maps, some of I think they thought that the gimmicks would make them feel way different than each other, like whether it be the TPs or the ropes or the 3 bomb sites, but they all kind of play pretty similar in some aspects, I think, or most aspects. So I think, to your point, Josh, like seeing a map that has a ton of verticality, like maybe this is like a little bit of a step outside of the box from, hey, let's rely on these things like the teleporters, like the 3 bomb sites.
I would say that
make changes.
To me, like Split and Ascent play the most differently out of the maps. Like if you go into a game of Split and you go into a game of Ascent, and it's nothing to do with the gimmicks. Like those are the maps where the gimmicks have the least impact. The ropes do not define Split whatsoever, and the moving doors do not define Ascent in any way. Yeah. Ascent is defined by the fact that the attackers have control of the extremities at the beginning of the round, and you have this big wide open mid where fights can happen. Split is defined because it's super claustrophobic and there's so many different angles to clear as you go through the entire map. Like it's the core map design that changes the map. I'm just worried that they're going to be like, oh, teleporters were cool, but they're focused more on the gimmick rather than the map design itself.
I think knowing that like Split and Ascent were like the 2 most recent maps designed, and they both kind of have that big variation in playstyle, probably is a thing that's trending in the right direction for map design. So, I mean, I think this map, I mean, they've talked about it, like this was supposed to be for 2021, but now that they announced like their Riot's like direct involvement in First Strike, there's no way they could have put on a developer run tournament and not have 5 maps for a best of 5 series.
Yeah, that would have been so weird.
It would have been extremely odd. It also probably would have led to some type of like issue down the line in the tournament, and somebody would have gotten screwed, and everyone would have been on social just going crazy about it. Where they don't need that kind of negative energy here early on in Valorant Esports. So good on the devs to push to get it done. What'd you say, Bren?
Just the line, they don't need that kind of negative energy. You are actually just a 14-year-old trapped in a grown dwarf's body. Aren't you?
Hey, I'd rather be me than Josh.
Why did Josh just catch a stray?
Well, because you've literally just ingested about 50,000 calories of Pringles wavy and you've lost all your hair.
Oh yeah.
Every
Well,
time
sure.
I
I mean,
see
yes.
it.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude,
sure.
he's-
If you want to,
oh my god, he's got Pringles wavy in front
If you
of
want to
him.
sponsor us, by the way, hell yeah, I'm down for that. I've done a lot of content for Pringles, appreciate them. But instead, actually, my snack for this episode is not Pringles wavy because actually we've eaten all of the all
That's
of them.
gross.
I mean,
they're all
it's
gone
horrific.
now.
Josh is not going to make it to the end of First Strike. He
What
won't
is
be able
that?
to see the grand
I've got-
finals.
I'm starting to eat vitamin C instead because I believe I may have scurvy from all of the Pringles I've been eating.
I don't know if you're joking, and that's a problem.
Dude, we haven't seen Josh's belly in months, dude. I bet you he's packing on those calories, dude.
Packing.
He's living
Bowling
he's living those calories in a big old belly.
No, I actually haven't
underneath
seen
those gutters.
Josh's lower half. That's why he just doesn't want to leave
Yeah.
his apartment anymore.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I only sit like this. I actually have no trousers on right now as well.
He gets really close to his desk.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about something different, like
Hell yeah.
the new agent that got announced? Or
Yeah.
not really.
Oh,
It got
Chad.
announced actually, right?
She got announced.
Well-
Did it get announced?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it got announced.
Did
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think it got
did.
announced.
I think it was like
only
a
got leaked.
tease.
No,
announce.
did you guys not see the article on the website has her front and center in
Oh,
the image?
right, but they don't mention her. They don't mention anything about her. They just put her image there, right?
Yes, but then I guess true. So I guess you
But then
could
it
say
got
this is
leaked.
a leak, I guess.
But then
Yeah,
it
I
did
mean,
get
this is the
leaked.
definition of a leak.
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
the fact that you can select her in game is
so
definitely.
we know exactly what the new agent Skye does from top to bottom. Do we know what her ultimate is?
Yes,
You
it is
do?
it's
I
an
didn't see her.
AO. It's an AOE heal inside a
Okay.
line of sight.
Interesting.
Wait,
Interesting.
no.
That's
No.
That's not
the
the ult.
Seekers are the ult.
Yeah,
you
the
said.
Seeker's the ult.
Oh,
Do we have the video? Because it's easier to go through
Yeah,
with the
it's
video
easier
to
to
go
go
through
through
one
video.
ability at the
this-
time.
This is the new agent. Seems like she does a lot. She's got a lot packed into her.
I mean, I don't see how. I can't imagine a world where she isn't being run incredibly frequently, potentially at the frequency Sage was being run. A point.
Yeah.
I mean, she can flash, she can heal, she can locate enemies. Those are just abilities that are good at any point in the game.
Yeah, can we go back to the beginning of the video and just kind of
Yeah.
pause and replay each ability one by one so that we can talk about them? Because this first one is pretty interesting. They call them trinkets, but you're kind of basically pulling out different animals and releasing the animals.
Mhm.
And this first one, if we go back again, Kurt, is a hawk that is basically just like a jet smoke flash, right?
What
Yeah.
is jet
You-
smoke flash?
So you control it after you
Yeah, you can
cast
control it like a
in
jet
the same
smoke.
way you control the smoke moving around.
mean like the omen?
but doesn't is this
No, not like
No,
a
like you
flash.
hold down
you know How
fire.
you know how you wiggle the Phoenix wall or you wiggle
Yes.
the
Yeah,
jet
yeah.
smoke? You can wiggle that hawk. I know that she isn't. She's
Do
just
we-
flying it at a door frame. But in theory, it says you hold down fire to guide the hawk in the direction of your
Okay,
crosshair. So you
'cause-
could weave it
Oh,
through.
so you can weave it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Well,
you could curve it around a corner, but it's
Interesting.
so slow.
at the beginning though, doesn't it look like she's like inside of it and controlling it? Like if we watch it again, like from here on, maybe it was the
No, that's the
You're
next
talking
video.
about the
Yeah.
next one. But
Oh,
this
Next one,
is
you are inside.
for
of it.
$100. How many can she get?
three.
Just one.
Three?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
three flashes.
For $100? I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, this is a leak. It might not be balanced. Like these numbers might be wrong. Like
Yeah.
if this has been data
Yes.
mined, like these numbers might be incorrect. So I don't think we can go off any of the numbers. But this seems like a quite a strong ability.
The flash is very slow, though. I
Yeah,
mean, look
that's
at that
seemingly
thing waddling through the air. The problem with that is, though, if you're a defender and you see a big flappy green bird coming towards you,
You have
you
to look
don't
away.
know when she's going to detonate.
Yeah,
it.
you have to look
Right.
away.
So you have to kind of hide from it. So that to me is just an insanely powerful ability because you simply don't know when the flash is going to go off. Now, unless it's breakable, if you can kill it in the air, that does change things. Because if you can break the flash before it flashes, that's a big deal. That means that you
Yeah.
actually have some severe
Big nerve,
counterplay.
to be honest, as
It
well.
looks like you probably can, since you can destroy anything else similar to that, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
drones, etc.
Which actually makes it quite a poor ability, I would even say. Like she has to stand still.
Yeah.
It's very slow. you don't have really vision on the flash when it pops, so you're gonna have to learn like timings to get it around a corner and flash your team in. But if the players are just holding the angle and can break this bird as it flies around the corner, that's, I mean, it's nowhere near as good as a breach flash.
No,
I would say
no.
if you can kill it.
But there are still going to be a lot of situations where you can use the timing of it to your advantage as well, right? Just drawing someone's aim away, getting the peak off of it, regardless if flash even pops. There are some other ways to use it advantageously.
And of course, if it has a huge amount of health, like a Leah, then you can kind of bait the flash.
Right.
Like you can send the flash in, and as they are spraying the flash, you can pop with it anyway. Even if it doesn't flash them, you can still use the fact that they're spraying to be able to get that pick.
What does the tiger do here?
Yeah, the tiger's the one that she can go inside and
concuss
control. Yes, if she can go inside and control it, and then when it gets near them, she can like I think it's like the primary fire to like almost like jump and attack. Concuss and near sight.
So it seems pretty strong, but they've obviously, the fact that it's near sighted itself means you can't use it for information gain, which would have been one of the primary reasons you would use it for, I think.
Well, I don't know if that's completely true. There are a lot of tight angles that you would want to clear with this. I mean, imagine like going down Haven short in particular. Just sending this through to clear all the tight angles. It could still be really useful for...
It makes it significantly worse than the drone, though. I mean, that's what you have to compare this to, in my opinion, is the Sova drone, because that's the other ability in the game.
It is fast.
Where you stand still and you release something and it clears angles for you, basically.
Yeah.
And this can't tag people from a distance, so you can't really use it to push an AWPer off an angle. And it's nearsighted, so you can't see people from a long way away. And it's glued to the floor. It's like...
The boombot?
I don't know. It's a bit between the boombot and the drone, but you can walk with the boombot and trade the boombot.
Right.
That's the strength
you can't
of the
do that
boombot.
with this.
Yeah, this is more
in the
the
is that you
Sova
can,
realm.
It's all autonomous.
Yeah, all of her abilities set her up to be like the second or third person in, right? I mean, they're all so slow. She's never going to be entering like a raise if you're going to compare it to the boombot or anything, right? I mean, she's always going to be the person going in for the trade. Sort of like the Sage, really.
Yeah.
I like to compare her to the Sova, I think, because she's got this Tasmanian tiger is so similar to the drone, and it's like the only thing in the game that is similar to the drone. So Sova's like, and the fact that her ultimate seeks people out as well. She seems to me to be the only agent in the game that could be a replacement for Sova, but I don't know whether she seems as good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I mean, I could see a world where you would want her and a Sova, just filling in where you would have hypothetically had the Sage on the team previously.
Like instead of a breach, though?
What was that?
Instead of a breach?
I don't know. That's really where the question comes up. And also, would there be any viability to potentially having all three of them, or would that be an excess of flashes?
Yeah, it's hard to think about.
Because I mean, that is at the end of the day, that's so much info gain you're getting. You're getting additional flashes, and also obviously she can heal. Unfortunately, you can't really see the rate of heal in the video, but I think that's a very key factor. I will 100% retract some of my opinions here based on how good the heal is. Compared to Sage's.
The heal is
it's got to be similar to Sage.
Yes, she gets one AoE heal.
It's the third ability.
Yes.
Yes.
This
it's got a bar though.
This sounds like a crackhead theory craft session from me, but I could see people stacking Sage and Skye for the heal.
I don't think you get value out of the heal multiple times throughout the round regularly.
I wonder if the bar at the bottom is
does
that represent HP?
I don't know. Can we pause the video where it's talking about the healing? Because it was something I didn't really...
There's something with vision that was in there. I don't know what that means.
It's just line of sight.
Oh.
Is it maybe? Yeah, line of sight. So it's only allies within line of sight. It's the same
so that bar at the bottom is definitely the healing pool.
Yeah, like Moira.
Right, that gets depleted, and she can keep it up and down.
She cannot heal herself. so you can't use it as a south heal like you would
Right.
with Sage. But I mean, healing is a very dangerous mechanic, I think, to introduce because it's just immediately obvious the power. I mean, they've gutted Sage since the game was released, and it's hard to tell how much of that gutting caused her to fall out. Was a heal being nerfed, or was it the area denial and the rest of her kit? But you walk quite a thin line because there's nothing more frustrating and annoying than almost trading someone out, them getting away, and then them being healed up to 100. So what damage you've done, that information is just negligible, or is not even true anymore. You know, you've already got a lot of heals in the game currently. Now with this introduction, it's a dangerous line to walk.
It's yeah, I don't know. It all kind of depends on what the healing output is. Like if the 100 at the bottom represents like HP and not like percentage, then I don't really think it's that big of a deal, right? Because it's 100
it can
HP,
be a
probably.
big deal.
Yeah, well, it could be if you're using it on one target, right? If it's kind of split between multiple targets.
Well, imagine like an AoE on a pistol round, though. I think that's where it'd be most significant.
And like you kind of stack or something like that, or you have players stacked.
But at the same time, you have to find a period of downtime to heal people up as well. You know, you're not going to be running around healing people as you push in, because as they take damage, the healing is stopped anyway.
Okay, but imagine
you just put it down.
Imagine you take a side.
You have to hold fire, Matt. You have to hold it down. So it's like an active channeling ability.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah,
I didn't read it.
Which means that it's like the Sage heal, but you're locked into using the ability, and it's short range. A lot of the like details about this agent make me feel like she's powerful, but her individual abilities are all like nerfed versions of other people's. She's like very strong because she has a lot of stuff amalgamated into one person, but each one isn't quite as good as the other people we have. Now, that could be totally wrong because, for example, the healing might 1 billion healing per second. But
no, I mean,
it seems unlikely.
But that does seem like what they've gone for, and I like this approach because it does mean as well, she is very supportive. You got to think about the power levels of heroes in specific scenarios. Like, obviously, she gets the most value by not going in first, but if she's the last alive, I mean, good fucking luck. You know, her kit does not suit any sort of clutch potential. This does take it away. It's not something you consider when thinking about agents. It's never something.
The ult could be mega clutch.
The Seekers, sure.
I mean,
sure,
also,
but a lot of agents with their ults can be mega clutch. Like the ultimate is supposed to be mega clutch, but you got to think about in general the scenarios where you're not going to have access to the ult, and in the scenarios of which the agent will be used in most commonly. And is this potentially? No, I'm not going to make that claim. But what were you going to say, Wyatt?
Well, I mean, if you think back to like when Sage was being played regularly, Sage would often be in a lot of clutch situations or post-plant situations, and her kit isn't necessarily, I would say, any better or worse than what we're seeing from hers.
It's still pretty good. Because
but still, I mean, at the end of the day, she does still have 3 flashes. And though they are an odd deploy mechanic, there are going to be a lot of situations where you can just send the bird out, and you're near a corner, it just hits the corner, and you flash immediately, and it's still a flash.
I can see some outplay to that though as well, because you flash immediately, you know where they are, and they have to be holding it down. They can't have their gun out. They cannot be ready to instantly repeak. Like if you see that flash and someone's holding like a close angle to you and you're trying to retake or something, you're trying to clutch 1v2, like the outplay to that is just rushing them.
Sure.
Or just killing the flashes, and you know that there
I mean, that's
really
if the flashes are killable. There's so many variables we don't know about with this agent.
But I think even if her kit isn't designed to be clutch, she will end up in clutch scenarios a lot because she gets value over time. She's one of those abilities. She's one of those agents in the game that's similar to Sage, similar to Cypher, similar to who were we talking about last week as well? Viper, actually, where you get more value from her the longer the round goes on, because you have more chances to use the AoE healing, use the flashes, to be able to use your boombot, this kind of stuff. So because she's not really an entryer whatsoever, even though her type is initiator, she's probably going to be left towards the back of the pack in these clutch moments.
And the signature ability is the flashes, right?
How does that work though? The signature
That's what I
ability
was
is normally
wondering.
the E, and they're normally on some kind of refresh.
Well,
but she has 3 of them. Surely the flashes aren't on a
Reyna
refresh.
you pay for. Like
Yeah, you pay
for
for
Reyna's.
the Valor ones, right?
I mean, actually, the way that they balance that though is that you only pay for the Q and you get the E's for free. Like
you
that's the
don't.
way they justified it.
No, you don't.
Well, you get the same amount of charges. You buy 4 charges and you can use them for Q or E.
Okay.
And so the way that they kind of listed it in the agent is that you're only paying for the Q and you get the E for free, like some kind of
That is hilarious.
stupid buy one get one free deal from a rip-off supermarket.
Is there any other agents where that's the case?
I believe all the rest are refresh on kill or cooldown.
At the end of the day, though, as well, when we're talking about some of these situations she's in, you are still also forcing enemies to reveal themselves by shooting a thing. So you're also gaining info
That's
on
if
enemies.
it's killable.
Yeah, which it probably is. I can't.
I
imagine
would
why, but-
imagine that it is.
Yeah.
Are we sure that the flash is the signature ability? Because
That's what I think I read on one of the sites here that we had.
It would probably be in the video again as well, because it'll be whatever her E is on, presumably.
Her E is the bird, the flash.
I guess is the bird then. I don't know how that would work, because having those flashes on a cooldown or having them on 2 kills and you get them back would be.
It might be like Brim.
Kinda
You
strange.
get 1 free.
Oh yes, that'll probably be how
Like
it
brim
is.
smoke, right?
Yeah.
You get 1.
Yeah, good point. Brim does work like that.
Yeah, might be like Brim then. But also, these numbers could change. Like, we don't know. This is a leak. This is a data mine. So
what's also interesting is that she's not releasing on the same day as the event.
Wait a second. I just saw. Okay, no.
Wait
What
a
did you see?
second.
So she was. That was far too
Wait
dramatic.
1
wasn't it?
second.
What do you got?
I saw her use the alt then at the end of in the middle of this video,
Yeah,
and it
that's right.
said no targets available. And my mind was like, oh, so if there is no one nearby, it gives you info for free without even using it. But that's
Wait,
because there's
what?
literally no one on the.
Oh
opposite team.
yeah.
Like presumably, it would literally target anyone anywhere on the map.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is giving you free
The
information.
3 closest people.
No, but if there's 3 people left alive, if you use that alt, it's gonna go for them.
Yes, wherever they are. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have a range on it, because if it did have a range on it, you could use the alt and keep using the alt to figure out if there's anyone close.
Yeah. And if it
And it would
hits
just give
them
you info for free.
near sites. I also wonder how that works. Like, let's say you're going into like a scent on A. If you use it and the person closest shoots the one coming for them, does the
Can you
one that's
shoot them?
going for somebody far refixate onto the person close, or does it keep traveling at that other person?
I mean, we don't know, but because we haven't seen it in
Right.
action. But also, can you?
It would
even
be
shoot
super
them?
busted if it refixated on the person on the
That
site.
would
They
be
just had to keep
amazing.
just killing them from all different directions. But
This that ultimate, now thinking about it, seems very, very powerful. It's not like the
Yeah,
limitations of
extremely.
Cypher, where you need a body.
Nope.
You can literally use it to initiate into an area, and it would clear it out for you.
and it near sites if it hits.
That's crazy.
yeah,
actually.
it's
and
wildly
it's
good.
only cost 6 as well. Like,
Yeah.
there's. I saw some post. I don't know the credence to it, but the I saw a
And
post
3
on
of them go
Reddit
out.
of somebody talking about how people are playing Valorant wrong because they're not prioritizing the ultimate orbs. And I think that that's a very statistical-minded way to approach the game analytically, and one that maybe doesn't suit this game. Like, it's quite one-dimensional to think about the game in that manner,
Yeah.
of like thinking about, you must efficiently go for these ultimate orbs because you have a higher chance of winning when you have ults. When you don't
Just give up all map control. And
yeah,
go
you
for
need
the
to think
alt
about
orbs
map
every
control
time.
and everything else, right? But that is one ultimate where it costs so little, where you could make an argument for statistically going for ultimate orbs early on to farm it as quickly as possible to get free information on a site that you hit.
Yeah, especially if it's in a good place for map control, like showers on bind.
Yeah.
If you can take showers on bind whilst also getting an alt orb at the beginning, like FPX do with their brim, but instead you stack them onto the Skye instead. That's I mean,
wonder if
this alt just seems bonkers
Yeah,
good.
I think we have to know more. Like, I wonder how other things interact with the ult. Like, will Killjoy's turret target it and shoot it? Does it get stuck in like traps of like Cypher or something like that? How does
Good point.
How does it work as like a flying object? I also think a reason probably why this agent will not release right away is you're going to see some weird interactions with these things just flying around and like teleporting through walls and just weird shit that's going to come
here's the
out of
thing
it.
That's what
about
I
that,
just
Matt.
thought as well.
I just realized that the wolves that they introduced in Spike Rush was probably an AI test for this ability.
Yeah.
The wolves in
test the
Spike Rush
pathing.
act the same
Yeah.
way.
I've never played Spike Rush with wolves. I haven't.
Yeah.
I played Spike Rush a bit when they first released it. I haven't done it with this.
It's like a so you pick up the wolf thing and it's like almost like a it's a slow moving wolf that kind of almost like has like a little bit of like a spiral animation, almost like a paranoia.
Breaking down Spike Rush.
Yeah, Spike Rush expert.
But the AI is probably going to be very similar to
it tracks people through walls and like it doesn't go through walls, but it'll track them around the map. If it hits them, it does, I believe, near sight them as well.
What happens if you were on Haven and you either Omen TP'd or Jett
they
updrafted?
float, I believe. I believe they do.
If you went into Heaven, presumably it would go all the way around up the staircase to track you into Heaven again.
I think so.
It's not just going to float up.
No,
to
it will be.
Yeah, I don't think it does
most
that.
likely. I think the path. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It depends how they work out and calculate the pathing. Anyway,
But then it's weird because
we're really diving.
If you go
into
through a teleporter on bind, does it follow you through, or does it walk all the way the long way around?
I don't know.
We have to go test it.
We don't know. There's too many variables.
Can we also say that this agent will not release on the 13th? They're releasing the map on the 13th, but the map is only going to be
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the 13th of October. The map. So basically, they put out like a long breakdown of like how this act is going to be adjusted compared to the previous one. So on the 13th, the battle pass will come out. Yeah. You'll get the map in unrated. So it'll be unrated play, I think, like Spike Rush, I think, as well. You'll get the competitive refresh, the battle pass, and then like a new skin series, whatnot. On the 27th, that's when the map will go into the competitive play. That's also when the agent will launch. They said they wanted to do this because they said the patch was pretty heavy and they have stability issues, or they want to potentially avoid stability issues because they feel like some of the most recent patches they've had a lot of odd bugs issues with. What the most recent one, you had the issue with the ultimate voice lines just completely disappearing from Phoenix and I think Sova. So they want to delay it.
Yeah, so that's the reason they're delaying the map in competitive.
No, they probably want to actually get testing outside of competitive. I'm actually surprised they're not going with the approach of just having a playlist that's the map 24/7, where you can just go into like have unrated, because you're gonna waste time. People are gonna queue unrated to get the map, and they're gonna get a sent and then dodge. You may as well have just had unrated, put it in there, and then have an Icebox 24/7 playlist.
Yeah.
I imagine it's like they don't want a new map in the competitive queue because they don't want people queuing into it on competitive, never played it before, don't know how to play it.
No. Well, the main reason you don't add it to competitive is because you have never thoroughly played or tested it for like
and it affects people's placements and stuff.
through the floor, and you can plant the spike all over the place.
That makes way more sense, because I was going to say that the point I just made is null, because when they release new agents and you can play them in competitive straight away.
It's like on Haven, where you could TP through back plat on C and plant the bomb underneath the map. Well, there will be bugs like that on the map, because they just haven't tested it with hundreds of thousands of people spamming every different area of the map. It's not possible to bug test something that thoroughly, but the public will.
Yeah. So what they've said is that they want to delay the agent for 2 weeks. Because that'll give basically like what I said, the few patches haven't been stable, and 2 weeks hits them their first patch cycle of this act. So they'll be able to fax out all of the bugs on the Icebox map in the first 2 weeks, and then add the agent in. Where if you added the agent in with the map, you could have a lot of bugs and issues and whatnot. And then you're in a mad rush to fix it. So
yeah, it makes sense. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about something else because my ADHD is kicking in. We've been
Okay.
on this topic for a while. Let's talk about the First Strike events because finally some dates got announced for,
Yeah.
I believe, what is it,
Mhm.
Brazil and EU.
Yeah.
Yeah, Europe
and
just got announced today as well.
Korea already has dates, correct?
Korea's
Yeah.
already started, actually.
They've already started
Korea's
the qualifiers,
already,
right?
Yeah, their first qualifier just kicked off.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think that it's been completed, but nearly.
Still ongoing. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, we can talk about the dates at least for EU and Brazil. I'm surprised that these tournaments are kind of it's essentially the tail end of 2020 is what they're going to be encompassing. I assumed that they were all going to be starting roughly around the same time, and there were going to be maybe 2 tournaments fitted into 2020. But the way it looks like it is, First Strike is going to be the conclusion of 2020.
They probably, so my gut says this was probably supposed to kind of kick off like the middle to end of October, but because you have a new agent and you need a new map for best of 5s, this got pushed back a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still doing the open qualifiers.
Yes,
middle
still doing the open
October.
qualifiers. I'm actually interested with the open qualifiers because that's before the 27. Do they add the map? Like, does the map get added to the 3rd qualifier?
I don't think they'll add it for
Or
any of the qualifiers. If I had to
probably
guess,
you'll have it disabled for all the qualifiers, then add it for the
add it for the main event because the teams need time to learn the map anyway, and you don't have any BO5s in the qualifiers, so there's no need to add this new map right now.
Sure.
And the agent gets disabled probably till the main event.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you have a cool addition for the main event.
One thing to talk about here is the best of 1 format that they've got going on in, I believe, if you bring up that article again, Kurt, I think it's best of 1s up until, what is it?
Up until the round of 16. So you have 512, 256, 128, 64, 32. So you have 5. You need to win 5 BO1s.
Best of 1s in
before you get to
Brazil.
BO3.
That is
that's
brutal.
crazy.
You have so many competitive teams against one another. There's like, I know that they've got 4 qualifiers, which will hopefully lessen the RNG aspect. And I know it's best of 1s because time constraints. Like, you've got to get through so many games. You've got to add them in so many games. That's a nightmare. But there's still the RNG potential of like maybe the best teams not getting in through that.
There is,
a few
but
chances though.
at the same time, you are very unlikely to get seeded against a good team before the round of 16 multiple times in a row.
That's true. With 512 teams. Yeah.
And imagine
if
how they're going to be. Sorry, I was just going to say. Also, by the qualifier 3 and 4, there's going to be far less great teams.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. That's a great point.
I believe it's the top 8 that advance to the main qualifier, right?
The final qualifier's 32 teams.
Yeah. So you have 8 from each qualifier. Go through. So you basically just need to win that single BO3 in the round of 16 and you're through. But you also need to win all the BO1s.
And then once you get to the final qualifier, everything's BO3.
Bro,
so you're kind of good.
Let's get Immortals. Let's get involved. That's all I'm saying.
So I think this is a really good system. Like, I agree with you, Bren, that there are definitely possibilities that some teams that are on the edge genuinely could get unlucky and could run into people. Like, that happened in Overwatch way back when. Like, when we did qualifiers for contenders in season 0, I'm talking like 2017, 2016. 2017. There were like 2 teams that on this enormous bracket accidentally ran into each other in the final qualifier, and that one team knocked another really good team out, and unfortunately we had a team that missed out on it. But at the same time, that was a rarity, and the advantage of being able to discover new upcoming talent is too good to worry about that too much.
You need to do BO1s just because there's no way you could process all of these teams in that short amount of time doing like BO3s the whole way through. The tournament would just last forever.
Does every First Strike tournament get the same amount of teams and qualification events?
You would just,
no, I don't believe
probably
so.
not, because there's some regions that you won't have 500 plus teams for each qualifier.
No, so for example, VLR.GG did an article about the European. Well, actually, I mean, Valorant did an article about the European one as well, and that one was, let Let me see. Did they actually announce how many teams were involved?
I actually put it in the chat earlier today.
I don't think they did. But for example, in Europe, the top 16 teams from each qualifier advance.
So you would imagine it would be 1,000 teams then, right?
Probably something like that. Yeah. So there's actually 64 teams in the main final. Oh, wait, no. So, right. So this is actually different. So Europe has it so that there are these 4 qualifiers, A, B, C, and D. But the top 16 of qualifiers A and B go to a play-in where the top 8 teams from that advance. So there's like an extra selection process at the end to ensure that you only actually end up with.
They're
It is different.
A and B are within a 4-day span. So it's like qualifier A is the 9th and the 10th. Then the 11th and the 12th is B straight away. And then the 13th is when you pit them against each other. And then they go straight into playoffs in the 14th and 15th. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I feel like I prefer the Brazilian format. I'm not 100% sure why this European.
Tough on teams. Because think about this. Let's say you don't make it to the main event out of the first one. You know, the playoffs end on November 15th. You're right back in the next qualifier on the 16th. The 16th and 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. I mean, this is you are playing Valorant pretty much from the 9th of November every day straight to the 22nd if you have to qualify through the second one.
I feel like that's what teams like, though, isn't it?
It's
Don't they kind of want to do that?
I mean, it's a lot of.
I wonder if
well, that's if you just don't make it through, right?
Right, that's if you don't make it through, right? This is like a worst case scenario, and you're making the main event.
But also, I mean, why is play in number 1 and 2? Why are they BO1s? You know, like you're taking the top 32 teams in the region. On the 13th of November, in theory, you found the top 32 teams in the region, and you're playing BO1s to find the top 8 out of those. And then you're doing BO3s to find the top 4. I feel like there's more chance of the top teams getting whittled down and accidentally losing in the European version of it, even though you don't have to potentially play as many BO1s.
To me,
much more of a
this screams to me that every region is being used as kind of a testing ground to find a format to potentially run future tournaments across the board on, or at least the qualifiers. Like this is definitely them using every region as their own little case study of how to what is the best. What are the players like? What do they prefer to play?
I mean, the main event for Europe will only be 8 teams at the end of it.
Yeah,
which there's a strong chance that probably some of these good teams will have gone out in BO3s, but there's a strong chance that we don't have the top 8 teams that we would expect at that point for the main event. The format for the main event of Brazil is also a top 8, but there's like a 32 team qualifier to get into that top 8. Like they're all in the same group, whereas in Europe it's 2 different ones. Brazil, the first open qualifier is October 17th.
So I think the Europe one may just be this type of format because of time.
Yeah, when is the first qualifier for EU?
9th of November.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they may be just trying to get this in the short amount of time. Like you have no idea, because I would assume Riot is not going to put the main event for each region on the same weekend. So this may be some kind of like rush to, like, you may have had to work back from the December 6th date to book all the rest and figure out how to make it work within the time schedule.
I think they are actually doing them all at the same time. I know that sounds bonkers, but I think they are allocating time zones for each region rather than days.
Yeah, do like a 24-hour stream type of thing and just keep it going.
Yeah, I think that's basically how it's going to work. Because Brazil is the 3rd to the 6th of December, and Europe is also the 3rd to the 6th of December. And I would be shocked if they had more than 2 weekends that they wanted to do this on.
That is actually so cool, though. That's a great idea if true. I mean, if the
cool,
time
but
zones,
how do you watch them?
Well, if the time zones line up so that you're actually getting a crossover audience from region to region, that's the real benefit, right?
Yeah. We did we did this for the Call of Duty League the first year. We did like the Australian League would funnel right into Europe, and then Europe would funnel right into NA, and then NA would have like after NA there'd be like a few hours like a rebroadcast, then straight into Australia again. Doing it like a 3-day 24-hour thing. It was popular. It kept viewers there. Without some type of recap show, though, there was really no way you could keep up with all of the games because you cannot sit on the stream for 24 hours for 3 days straight.
Well, that's what people come to us for, Matthew.
Right, I know. That's why they're subscribed to this new YouTube channel where we're gonna have so much Valorant contest content. You know, maybe a contest as well for Bren's late night show. We don't know, but
yeah, don't know what
that's why they're here.
Yeah.
What?
Don't know what that's gonna entail.
Yeah,
Contest, you said, for my late night show. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're gonna run a contest on your late night show.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean,
whenever you get it up and going.
Let's talk instead then about Korea, because they have started their qualification for First Strike.
They actually finished the first one last night.
The first one, and who ended up qualifying? Because I didn't keep up.
Yeah, it was Vision Strikers. Of course, it was Vision Strikers.
Big shock!
How many teams are coming through with the Korean system? Because I know the Korean system is even different.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I didn't see like a press announcement for the Korean qualifier.
I saw a post, but I can't remember what it was. And I remember thinking, oh, it was like a classic Korean tournament system, it felt like to me. When I thinking back to like the Apex days.
Sure.
Is there a tournament on VLR.gg where you can see how it plays out?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the correct
but
one.
It only shows the bracket from like the round of 16. This is this one, is it?
Clan Battle Act 2. I don't think
October 7th.
No, this is
the
something
final?
different, isn't it?
Okay,
yeah, this is something different.
I've just been fooled by the format of it.
The qualifiers have not begun?
I don't know. I'm lost in the sauce at this point, Bren.
Mate, there's so many tournaments. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. Looking on like
I just googled Korea First Strike, and I've got so many.
I did that as well.
The growing danger of a U.S. nuclear first strike on North Korea. It's not what I'm after.
That's what I got. Yep. I had to put in the word Valorant to get away from that.
Nope.
Let's see.
Yeah, it is called Clan Battle.
Yeah, Clan Battle.
Oh, it's called Clan Battle.
Yeah,
because I remember it was. Yeah. It was weird because I was like, it seems like this is a classic Korean tournament structure where it's being ran by.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? These open tournaments, these qualifiers are going to be run by third-party organizations. So they've been named different things. So this Clan Battle Act 2 is the regional qualifiers for First Strike.
This one's way different, though. So from what I'm reading, every week the teams will have a chance to gather for First Strike circuit points.
Yeah, it's so much different.
The fourth week of Clan Battle, the 24 teams with the highest number of points will advance to the qualifier.
Yep. It's kind of
crazy. That's a cool way of doing it.
It's a very Korean tournament way of doing it as well. Like the point system happens pretty often. But yeah, I mean, this just proves, I think, the point I was making earlier, where every region is different in terms of how they are qualifying. That it seems like they are testing different processes, or maybe they're just kind of going with the systems that the regions are used to. You know?
Yeah, and then this one also says it's open to every team with at least 3 South Korean players. Out of 24 teams, those that place 9 through 24 will face each other in a best of 1 in the first round of the qualifiers, with the winners advancing to battle against the team seeded 1 through 8 in the second round. The best 8 teams from the first round qualifier who win the second round will progress to the regional finals in December.
Okay.
So basically, if you finish 1 through 8 in those points, you only need to win 1 game.
Yeah, you're in a good position. It's like a play-in tournament to qualify.
Well, it's like almost like a play-in circuit, because the points add up over weeks. It's almost like a little.
We're getting into goddamn juice. I mean, there's no point deep diving on these systems. I mean, it's just kind of whack.
I would venture to say Vision Strikers will have the #1 Valorant circuit Clan Battle points to qualify. I believe that's that's what they're called.
I mean, what are they at the moment? They're
I mean, they
where is
won,
this?
so
would you even see the
surely
rankings
they're
of
in.
the
If they win one.
I'm trying to see their
No, they're not
overall
in.
win-loss.
Really?
Yeah,
Like,
because the system is like they play 4 clan battle acts.
Yes.
So
And then
winning
they
one
get
of
points.
them isn't
yeah.
enough.
But the more games you win, the more points you accrue, which means the higher your
Oh, so
seed,
you
which
just have to keep-
means
Okay.
you get
Right, so-
eventually when the play-in
Yeah.
tournament occurs, you'll get your first pick of the teams from 24 to
Hey man,
9
24
through
to 9.
24.
Yeah.
what's up
By the-
next?
Yeah, what
By the
is
way,
next in the docket? What do
Vision
you-
Strikers are 28-0 in Korea.
They have a lot of points.
Not enough, though.
So this was this last weekend was the first weekend of it. It runs every so the next one's the 13th and the 14th and the 20th and the 21st and then the 27th and the 28th.
Interesting. Well, I'm moving on.
Yeah, there you
Let's
go.
talk-
I mean that's what's going on.
Let's talk about Brazil. Another Brazilian tournament, another weekend of games being played. This time, Gamelanders, the team that came on top, they won the what is it? The Copa Rakin, Copa.
Yeah, Copa Rakin.
Number 2.
God,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
Gamelanders.
they beat this No-Org 2.0. That,
Well, didn't No-Org 2.0 won the previous?
They won the
big
previous tournament where
Yeah.
they beat
Yes.
Fusion Fraggers in the final. They didn't play Gamelanders in that tournament. Fusion Fraggers knocked Gamelanders out.
Oh my god, this was a BO1 thing.
Yeah, it was some Chaos BO1s
Holy
and then
frick.
BO3. It was a BO3 lower bracket final and a BO5 final. And Gamelanders crushed them in the final, though. I mean, it looks close because they had a free map win because they won through the upper bracket BO1s. And then they beat Gamelanders on Split. I mean, Gamelanders on Split they're not even the same team. They change all of their composition. Their players, like their Cypher plays Omen, just crazy shit like that. It makes no sense. So I expected them to lose on Split because they just have not. They have not figured that map out yet. But on all the other maps, they were just dominant, and it's just the duo of MW Zira and John are just world-class players. They're so good. I mean, they just stomp them.
I think, though, it's very interesting to see this No-Org 2.0 team just basically come out of nowhere and go, they've lost now 2 matches, and they must have won like 11. I think there's something like 11-2 in the Brazilian scene, and they're not farming bad teams. They're playing against the other top 5 teams, and they're 11-2. And they've won a tournament, and they've come to the grand finals of the other one. Some of these are BO1s as well, but it's so impressive that this team has just exploded out of nowhere. And I think that that's something that you could see in this Brazilian scene is just occasionally there's going to be teams that just pop up and they're just going to destroy.
Because it's so turbulent.
And they grab a Vandal, they click some heads for a weekend, they just pop off and just run around like maniacs.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like the
turbulent,
COD
but
scene.
it's also not very structured either. Like even the very top teams play a style that's quite messy and prone to upsets. So I think it's if you're able to get on the same level as them mechanically, you don't have to put in too much structure to your game before you're suddenly just straight on the level where you can start beating them.
Yeah, Gamelanders were looking a lot more fundamentally sound in this final, though. I think the biggest takeaway from watching it for me is that in the previous tournaments, since Gamelanders kind of just came back the past couple weeks where they had taken a break after just stomping the early days of the game, they didn't look quite as good, which is to be expected to an extent, right? They're a bit rusty. But this has been their best performance since their return to just playing all the tournaments. And this was, without a doubt, their best showing yet.
I think you have to consider Gamelanders the top team in Brazil right now as well. I mean, it's difficult to even say like a top team in Brazil because it is very volatile. But if you wanted to pick a number 1 team, I think you would probably pick Gamelanders. No-Org 2.0 haven't done enough yet. Fusion Fraggers haven't been as consistent or won as many tournaments. And then the rest of them are just kind of contenders for that.
Like 2 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago at this point in NA, where TSM were like, they were the top dogs early on. They had a bit of a fall, and then they came up again. There was a period where they were rising again. That's what this kind of trajectory reminds me of, at least looking at this.
There's still so much room for this scene to be refined, though, as well.
Yeah, there is.
So much room.
I think Gamelanders look like a team that has potential to be an actual world-class contender, though. I rate MW0 and John really high overall, just in terms of individual players. They are really on the top level.
Shout out
that
my
team
man,
has
John.
a lot of potential. And it's cool as well. Like, they're so beloved, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, the chat goes hard with the Gamelanders spam. They love Gamelanders.
Gamelanders
Brazilian
is a great
region
name.
is-
I don't know why. I think it's just funny.
I'm very excited. Very excited for like the first international tournaments we have where you start to see Brazil cross over
Yeah,
into the other regions.
2026. 2026. I think that's all the stuff will be over, right? Yeah.
I think people are hard sleeping on Brazil, though.
Yeah,
There's not much talk
they
about
are.
them across the rest of the community about them being a contending region.
These guys are going to be good.
Me.
This podcast is essentially just the Brazilian region simp stream at this point.
Yeah.
Like every episode we just go on because it's, to be fair, it's the only tournaments that are running at the moment, so there could be some recency bias with that, but definitely people are sleeping on Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, you said it to me when I was watching the game downstairs the other day, and I'm like, Bren, every time I watch Brazil, I just get a little bit more hype.
Yep.
And he's like, probably because it's the only games that you're able to watch right now, which very well may be true, but
true.
Also the level of play is just so good.
It's nice.
So,
they play fast, they play hard. It's a cool region to watch. I'm really excited to see those international tournaments in 2026. It's going to be nice. It's been outside of some major news. We're going to save the best for last, but we're gonna kind of, they call this the shit sandwich. You know, we're gonna put in some of the. It's not really shit, but it's kind of like the lesser scraps of news, the seasoning, if you will, of the sandwich.
Great way to get people engaged by telling them what we're going to talk about is shit.
It's not shit. That's what I said. It's not shit. It's like seasoning. It's some nice it's some nice paprika, maybe
some extra tidbits, you know.
Yeah, some salt and pepper or something. So let's talk about the Spanish football team Real Betis. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this. I know it's Real, but I don't know how to pronounce the second one. They're buying in apparently. They're looking to get themselves a team, looking to lock it in. Insight, gentlemen.
This is cool. Just more investment into the scene from all different areas, right? I think you see a lot of probably organizations that don't even really have a lot of esports representation trying to even get into Valorant because they know what League of Legends is. And then they know that games from the first-person POV with guns usually do pretty well. So it's probably why you see a lot of this going on. But it's also awesome to see for the scene.
There's a lot of Overwatch players in this.
Bromas,
team as well.
Bromas is in it?
Bromas, Line Pro, Poppy Fresh. Like there's at least
Yo, the homie squad coming through.
Just a Spanish squad.
Yeah.
The
and
boys.
they've actually been performing all right. Like they've been doing pretty decently. No, he's not the coach. Neptuno, though, used to be an incredibly, like when he was young, I think he was the best Spanish CS 1.6 player when he was between the ages of 14 and 16.
Something I thought was funny. I was just like, I just imagined a young Josh being friends with a young Neptuno from across the planet.
I mean, they won. Neptuno's very good at this game as well, though. But he says he doesn't enjoy it as much as he did CS or as much as he enjoys Overwatch. So
good to see Bromos on the team, though. Bromos is a player that in Overwatch always had really strong mechanical skills. You kind of think of him like playing like a McCree and Hitscan in the past, but good to see him. Line Pro has also had a pretty successful career too.
Poppy Fresh is the interesting one for me because
He's
Poppy
a young
Fresh
guy.
was a cracked youngster that had so much potential, still has a lot of potential, and I think a new game could light this guy on fire, honestly, in a nice team setting.
I'm not 100% sure how old he is. I just looked him up on Wikipedia, but I remember seeing him at the World Cup and thinking that he was only just old enough to play in World Cup.
He was at that point, He was. That was the storyline we were running at the World Cup.
Yeah.
That was,
so he must only be like 19 now or something like that, right?
Yeah. Ton of potential on him. Ton of potential.
Yeah.
Go. You were going to say something?
I was just going to say that this is another aspect of the wave of organizations getting involved in First Strike and onwards. And I think it's clear that there's more than just First Strike on the horizon here. Like the amount of buy-in that we're seeing to the scene happening right now indicates, especially when you look at teams like NRG, who I don't think we're going to talk about this week, but we did previously, where it's like they've actively said they're waiting for something huge to buy in on. And First Strike is cool, but it's not huge. Yeah. So there's definitely got to be some rumblings behind the scene here. There's no leaks coming from us, but this is just clear deduction.
First Strike is not getting a team like NRG who was saying we're not getting in to immediately be like, yep, that's it. We're all in. Here it is. Yep, sign me up. Like, there's got to be something else.
It was the timing on that was hilarious too. It was genuinely like 2.5 weeks since everyone was saying, "Oh, NRG's not getting a team soon, but ACU, when are they going to play?" And then 2 weeks later, they just
it's super funny as well because it's such a mix of players from different games. It's kind of a meme in the Call of Duty scene, but every time a new game comes out, it's like a bunch of players who like haven't played in years on Twitter be like, "Oh yeah, this is my game, bro. It's my year." It's like a bunch of people from different games who have just come together now on Valorant. They're like, "Bro, this game's for me, bro. This is my year. It's my game, bro."
That is just a washed gamer classic. That happens in every scene. That is a universal concept, I feel.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, whatever keeps them being able to sleep at night.
Yeah, and pay their bills.
Sure. What else?
What we got next?
Heretics drip feeding the roster announcement.
Yeah. I think they've actually finalized the roster announcement.
They just did
have they?
Today or yesterday.
Yeah, 9 hours ago. They they finalized it. I think.
They have a few ex-CS:GO guys. Lowell, probably the most notable, right? It's a long-time CS:GO vet. Skilled player.
They don't have a fifth yet, though.
They have on VLR. They have a stand-in right now that they announced a stand-in as their full roster.
Yeah, is this a case of a team that has shifted over from CS recently? No, they've been playing actively. In Valorant.
I thought you meant as a team. I don't. I mean, as individuals, some of them shifted over from CS. I know Lal did, Nookie did. I'm not super familiar with the other players.
Definitely
Power played a lot of Valorant.
Yes, Power has been playing for the Team Prodigy rosters for a while, and he actually looked really good when he was playing with like various different mixes of teams and all sorts of stuff. I think that guy has a lot of potential. I'm so excited to see Nookie play as well. I played with that guy in TF2 way back when in 2015.
That's Nookie from TF2.
Yeah, that's Nookie from TF2. And so
it's his game.
Yeah, I was
he was a CS pro.
Yeah, he played CS after. So he was playing TF2 and coming up in the scene. I made this top team in TF2 for the high division, which was like the one below the top level. And I found Nookie and got him on the team because he was just tearing up the lower divisions. He was insane. We won everything. We were undefeated that season. He was nuts. And then he was like, okay, TF2's boring. I'm going to go and play CS. And he went from being a person who was casually playing CS to very quickly being on a like pretty top level team.
He was on Hellraisers with Angel.
Yeah.
Wow, that was the notable team he was on. Yeah.
Yeah, and his ascension through the scene was actually pretty rapid. And a lot of the TF2 people were really excited for him because there was basically Nookie, and then who was the guy that played Dota, the Finnish dude?
Jerax,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those two people that escaped from TF2 and did something as players.
TF2 refugees just looking for homes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there was a bunch of people that went to Overwatch, but outside of that, there was Nookie and there was Jerax. And now he's coming over to Valorant. And as far as I know, like Nookie was pretty talented in CS.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was just me because I was a fan of him because I played with him in the past, but
no, he was legit. It was like he was another of the classic story, a tale told a million times of the FPL player who joins a top team. And he was good. I mean, unfortunately, that Hellraisers team, that was sort of during a bizarre period for Hellraisers where they were just trying to find anyone to really play with them. So he wasn't really in a well-structured machine. So I don't think he was necessarily pushed to his limits as a player, right?
Yeah.
But he clearly was a talented player, and you know, it looked like he would have had a future had he kept playing that game. So I expect him to be pretty solid in Valorant.
Nice.
They've already beaten Giants Gaming as well. Yep. That's like their first game that they debuted this roster with, and they beat them 14-12. Obviously, tiny sample size, but at the same time, Giants are one of those like classics of the tier 2 European scene. They've been around for ages, and they have ever beaten G2 on a map. Like they beat them on Ascent in some tournament like a few weeks ago, probably a month ago at this point. They're like a team that can occasionally punch above their weight, but they're normally just outside of the top 8 in Europe. But so the fact that they're able to get that win as like a starting team is pretty promising. Like this team could go places.
To build off of.
Yeah, they got upset potential in first strike. You know, as the Giants, they could take BO1 wins over even the best teams in Europe.
The big portion of players, like obviously there's the initial rush when Valorant got released of a lot of players from different games moving over to Valorant. But there's also the lesser wave that we don't really think about, but this trickling of CS pros that we're now seeing as well when more money's coming into the scene, when organizations are getting into Valorant more and more often now. This is like the go button for a lot of these players that already had some sort of comfort level in CS where they were living off of the game and didn't want to make the risky jump at the start. You're going to start to see this now, this trickle-down effect of these pros coming in and maybe sort of superseding as well some of the pros that got in right at the get-go because they realize that is the only chance they're going to have of playing professional-level Valorant is getting in right at the start.
Yeah, two things. I agree with that. But, thinking of a team like this and First Strike, I'm already kind of feeling that I'm going to be a little bit upset we don't have some type of like replay viewer, a way to see every game, because I feel like a team like this could upset somebody in a BO1 that is not on stream because somebody just assumes that this match is not going to be much of anything. And then we will not be able to actually see what happened or what went on.
Right. Yeah. 4 qualifiers. I mean, the more qualifiers you run, the more chance that doesn't happen. But you are right. Like that's. I mean, to go back to the earlier point about the feeling of this game being quite bare bones when it came out. Like it's a similar case to kind of Overwatch almost, because Overwatch didn't have a replay viewer when it first came out. It was missing some basic stuff. I say basic stuff. It was missing some stuff, which is actually kind of the norm. The new norm when you release a game is to just kind of release it as a really polished base level product and add out the updates as you go along. But
I also think though that if you're a team like Team Heretics, if any of your players are comfortable with it, try and stream your games. I'm not sure whether that's in the rules, but I think it's possible.
You must be able to. Anything, right? Like,
I mean, it's one of the reasons why the Fortnite World Cup and those in-game tournaments are so exciting. Obviously, when you're playing solos, it lends itself to being a streamer when you were playing those games. But watching people trying to qualify for the World Cup every week was so exciting.
Insane, actually,
Like watching Ninja come so close and then like tuning in next week, like, holy shit, is he going to do it this time? It was so exciting. It was so good to watch. And also, I mean, at that point, Fortnite did have in-game replays as well. So people could just go back and watch. You could just click on someone's name on the leaderboard, watch the replay of any of their games, and people were, doing the breakdowns and the analysis, which would be great for people like us and people who want to see all the games. But I mean,
it's also
unfortunately, the game doesn't lend itself for people to stream because people, the CS mentality is more so of keeping the strats and the calls secret, and we don't want to let anything out.
I hope they do kind of Call of Duty teams would stream their POVs qualifying for Call of Duty championships, and what they would do is just not have the comms broadcasted. So you could watch the gameplay, you could watch the matches, but you did not hear team comms call out strats, etc. That would be
when T1 was playing as well. Food was doing that when T1 was playing in tournaments. He was streaming, but not streaming the comms of his team.
Tens did it as well.
Who?
Tens.
Right. Yeah. I think that's because I would almost say that is the number one way that you're going to go from being nobodies to genuinely somebodies in this game is if you play in the First Strike qualifiers, you don't even have to win. You don't even have to make the main event. If you knock out some big team and it wasn't caught on the broadcast and there's some stream there of your team popping off, people are going to be going and watching that VOD. People are going to be tuning into your Twitch channel to figure out what the fuck happened. And they're going to become fans of you because of it. There's just so much opportunity for growth that massively outweighs any small detriment to streaming your strats.
Because those streams pop off like wildfire. As soon as like a team's like, oh my god, like they're up like 4 rounds against like, you know, C9 and a best of 1, like people start flooding in like from Twitter and whatnot.
Dude, when the Fortnite World Cup was happening, when whoever you saw, when it was getting towards the end of a qualifier for the World Cup, because you would see on the leaderboard who was still in and the player names, people would be hunting down their Twitches. Like people you've never heard of would suddenly have 20K viewers because people on the in-game leaderboard would just be trying to find them. I mean, it's such a good opportunity.
Yeah, pretty nuts. Bonk. And no, I'm not talking horny jail. I'm talking they finished out their roster. All right?
What a segue.
They've got Goffe in.
Dude, you're getting good at this hosting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, wouldn't be able to use that
through the show.
Wouldn't be able to use that line on any professional show, but yeah.
I don't know. I think that was pretty good, to be honest.
We're a professional show. We have a producer.
Yeah, I suppose we are professional. Matt, you're right. We should gas ourselves up more. Let's talk about our open tournaments at the start of the Valorant scene again. Yeah, they've added Goffe to this roster. Like Bonk had a bit of they've had some ups and downs, I think, in terms of their team and the way that they've come about. But I am ignorant of this guy. Do you guys have anything to any light to shed?
All I know is he was playing ancient beta games. Beta games from prehistoric times.
Yeah.
Recently, he hasn't done anything, at least that I've seen.
Oh, we're doing some digging
VLR,
no info.
VLR.GG has him on a team called Uruguay 3, and then now Bonk. Okay. So that's about it.
Yeah, he played with Rakin, like in the beta. But Rakin played much more recent games. Goffe, I have not even watched at all because I wasn't following his team during the beta, and he hasn't been on any relevant team since then. I look at the Bonk roster, and it looks significantly worse than the original Bonk roster. Like the loss of Safe, unless Goffe and Rakin are really good players,
the duo,
then this is, I find it hard to see how this roster is going to be as good as they were in the past. I feel like Yassine's going to get trapped on a middle level team again, something where they had like promise, like the beginning NIP, but they just never really were able to deliver on it. That duo of Safe and Yassine was really the engine behind Bonk.
Yeah.
And now it's gone, and they've had to shift up the roles. Where do you think
they currently rank though? Like right now,
Lord knows.
Yeah, I mean, well, VLR.GG has them at 3rd, but like Team Liquid's behind them.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't played in ages because
they haven't played, right?
I mean, they haven't played with this new roster at all. The last game that they played was with Safe, so there's no way of being able to tell. This is the kind of team where expectations could be high, and they might not even make the main event. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make top 8 in Europe, but at the same time, they might because they were a good team.
Yeah. I would be impressed if they can even hang around the level that we kind of last saw them at. Like if we're rating them still in the top 8, I think that's a pretty solid start. If we rate them somewhere around like 5th, 6th, I think that's honest. That would be above my expectations at this point.
If you manage to recover from the loss of Safe and you're still in a somewhat similar position, that's insanely good. Yeah. That's really, really good because you've lost a genuine star talent, like somebody that
he was the best player.
Could go to any team and just improve them.
Yeah. Now we're getting to the end of the seasoning of the sandwich that I was talking about earlier. Now we're starting to get to some of maybe the cheeses, a nice fine cheddar, possibly from the caves in Gloucestershire. But we're looking at Andbox here, and they've signed Seb.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe some mustard? No, not a cheddar.
I'm not gonna engage with you. The caves of Gloucester.
Idea. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. Andbox has signed Seb here.
Yeah.
And this is. Does this round out the roster?
No,
it doesn't.
They have
they have 3 players
essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they played one lower tier NA tournament and got bodied by Renegades, but
they don't have a complete roster.
They don't have a complete roster, so I'm not going to read into it too much.
They're still doing the Aim Labs challenge, aren't they? Do you guys know what I'm talking about with this?
What?
Andbox are running like an AIM
yeah.
Labs tournament where if you beat the scores of like some of the members of their team, you get like you get a chance to qualify and potentially be picked up by their team. It's like a 10 grand AIM Labs tournament they're running, I'm pretty sure.
Do you mean AIM Labs is the sponsor, or AIM Labs is the game that you
AIM
have
Labs
to
is
beat
the game. Look at this. Yeah, here it is. The Andbox aimlab.gg. What they're literally they're trying to pick up some absolute cracked out aimer.
They played with is this
I mean, that's exactly what they don't.
The game with against Renegades with Poach. Is that the Poach from
Yes, it's Liquid Poach from Fortnite. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, Poach has been kind of around. I remember Poach in the beta of Valorant.
In the beta,
he's been playing since the
but,
jump. He just hasn't really been able to impress in
I quite
like
like
the
this.
tier 1.
I quite like it.
So hold on. So you're joking, right?
No, I quite like it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
why,
this is
Ben?
absurd. And also, they just don't need what they don't need on this roster is another cracked out aimer.
Bro, why
they
not?
need leadership.
Yeah.
They already have the 2 pug stars. They already have.
I just like that they're putting 10 grand down. They're saying, okay, they've developed a custom AIM Labs routine to kind of.
This is the kind of sports nonsense, though, that it's only marketing. Like, if they're actually taking it seriously,
sure, yeah.
If they're genuinely taking it seriously, then they're smoking Skittles.
Yeah,
but if they're using it as a marketing thing where it's like, come and win $10,000, and also this will be a good way of just figuring out who actually wants to trial, then that I can see is fairly decent marketing.
What do you think about them taking a flyer on a player like Poach?
I don't think he is trialed and played a bunch of different tournaments. I just don't think he's at the tier 1 level.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, Andbox should be looking to be making a top 10 NA team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's of that level. I mean,
they played with Akis as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They did so poorly, and they were playing with Akis, who's obviously, we know he's a solid player, and they were playing with Seb, who they just picked up. So how far is this going to be from the real roster? I know it's early and everything, and then they made sure to tell everyone after, no, we were just playing for fun. We didn't get wrecked we were just playing for fun, which tells me that they weren't playing for fun completely. Otherwise, they wouldn't have not cared. So I do think they were at the very least seeing if these players would work with what they were doing. Obviously, Akis is a free agent. He got officially released from Envy. So that is a potential person they could sign. So I don't think it was completely just playing for fun. I think they were trying to test the waters a little bit, and it just did not particularly go well. I mean, I think Seb was playing Killjoy. He's just another
Killjoy Cypher,
another MDL guy coming over. Okay, I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Maybe they just have like a different approach. Maybe they're looking more long term, like past First Strike, trying to build something that maybe take a flyer on like a player like Poach and see where it gets you in a few months.
You got to keep in mind that there is this deadline for all of these teams getting involved where they are trying to build teams for First Strike. And so maybe we're looking at it now and we're not looking to impress, but it doesn't mean they can't swap it up after the First Strike.
Right.
Yeah, sign some people on temp contracts, see who pops off in First Strike. See who was the guy that you were looking at, Wyatt, that had
Sean 12590.
12590.
Yeah, absurd alias. Hey man, drop the numbers and just be Sean. But yeah, he looked ridiculous. I mean, there are going to be so many players coming out of First Strike that get people on temporary contracts. Someone like Akis would be great to get on a temporary contract. He's proven, he's pretty good. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine throughout First Strike.
And then just see who puts up ridiculous numbers during First Strike. Try and trial them, see what kind of team you can put together. Yeah, this is this guy. So
this guy's
the reason that you looked at him, Wyatt, is because he went 67 and 32 across a BO3 series, right?
Yeah, I saw the stat. It was the final of a tier 2 NA tournament where they beat Mamba Mode Gaming. So like a pretty good tier 2 NA team, like the top tier 2 NA team.
I love the numbers in his name, dude.
This clip blew my mind. This is like such a smart clutch just the risk reward that he's constantly calculating in terms of where people could be coming from. Like he's just taking the gambles here, but it's the intelligent gambles in terms of the angles he's opening himself up to.
Yeah.
It's what a smart player.
Yeah, watching
the
him,
numbers
he's
at the
so
end?
good. 67 and 32 in the grand final.
No, in his name. In his
Oh,
name.
12590?
Sean 12590.
It's a zip code.
Really? Is
I
it?
don't know. I don't know. No, that would be
Dude, look at that flick. Oh my god.
He looks really well rounded.
This
His
guy's
aim is
nasty.
absurd. His decision making is really
Listen,
good.
Any
this guy
coaches watching this? They're too
Yeah.
lazy to do their own tryout process. Just watch our show.
You know, 12590 is a zip code. So you don't know.
Where does he live?
Where is it, Matt?
It is the postal code in Dutchess County, New York.
Possible.
It includes the cities New Hamburg and Wappinger Falls.
Nice.
Great.
Well,
We'll send our
Kurt, is this up by you
PI
in,
over there and
wherever
see if we
you're
can find
from?
him.
Is this where Kurt? Yeah, is this where you're from?
Is this where you're
No.
from, Kurt?
No.
Yeah, you can see my house in the map.
Lit.
This is perfect for Andbox. He's a New York guy.
Yeah, New York, baby.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go. All right. Ciabatta bread, straight from Italy. Wood burned stone oven. We'll get into the end of it. Immortals reporting to be signing Neptune here, trying to flesh out this roster. I got a little smile out of Matt. That's all I was looking for.
I just heard what was it? Wood burning stove.
Wood burning
I was
stove
like, what the
oven,
hell-
baby.
the
Yes,
hell are you
ciabatta
talking
bread
about?
got shipped straight from Italy. You already know that's what we're working with in this sandwich because we're getting to the end of it. Immortals signing Neptune, just trying to round out this roster. This pickup, do you this? I don't know. I'm a little bit underwhelmed, I suppose, but that's only because of the shoes that they're trying to fill.
This would give them 4 players now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Halo of Thoughts report.
Okay.
He's usually correct. And he said, Immortals Valorant are expected to sign Morning Lights, Jason, Neptune, Tran. So, yeah, it seems like they have already put out the feelers to try and replace Asuna and Dicey to be able to find, some people that are worthy of being able to fill those slots.
Well, they did do a big tryout process for the team itself, and they're still going to have that information to work off of.
Yeah.
And those players may have now gone to new teams. So they may be able to get even still a good deal if a team, or just from the tryout process that they did earlier, from some players that they need to fill in the gaps. But yeah, I mean, considering that they're trying to basically fill in the gaps of Asuna and Dicey, hard ask. Very hard ask. Do you guys want to add anything more onto this? Or can we move over to our final topic?
We don't know if it's for sure yet, right?
Yeah, this is like a rumor.
Just
And they don't have a 5th player, too.
Not really
so.
much to go off of.
I
But
mean-
I'll tell you what there is to go off of.
Yeah.
Took us 3 episodes, but we finally got here. It's finally sealed in. The contracts are locked in. The Bugatti is in the garage. 100 Thieves have signed Asuna and Dicey. They've got them in. They've locked them in. Top 2 team NA.
Well, who Gunba's Bugatti? Is he the one who got it off this
I
deal?
love this
Who got the
from 100
Bugatti?
Thieves. I feel like we've talked about this move so much
the past
before
3
it's actually
episodes.
been kind of announced.
The first one was a rumor. The second one was a rumor. And then now we're finally talking about it.
Now
as
we're
it's
finally
concluded.
legit.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Bren. I think they should be one of the best teams in North America. I also think this is huge for 100 Thieves as an organization because a lot of their other teams are struggling. So it looks like they've kind of gone all out here, putting together like the best roster they probably could have made at the current moment. So I think this is a big win for 100 Thieves. This is a team I am so excited to see play. Like if I don't get to see this team play in a lot of First Strike events, like just because of streams and whatnot, like I'll be incredibly upset because I think this is one of the more hyped teams to watch.
Yeah, please focus the streams on this team because the expectations are enormous. So not only is it awesome if they succeed, but it's also incredible if they fail. It's just one of those storylines where you expect them to do well, but you need them to do well. So anything less than being a good team off the bat, like they don't have to be a top 2 team off the bat.
No.
The teams take a while to warm up, but they need to be able to qualify for the main event. If you can't do that at First Strike, you're starting to worry a little bit because the quality of this team is so good.
You believe this team right away can contend with your TSMs, your Sentinels, Cloud9,
Absolutely.
etc. Like straight away.
They should be able to make top 4, I think.
Yes.
They should.
Anything less than that, I'm putting in the lackluster category.
These
They should
expectations
be able to
can
go top
be
4.
quite dangerous as well, though, for players such as Dicey
Well,
and Asuna.
I mean, whose fault is that? Isn't my fault, and it's not Plat Chat's fault. That is 100 Thieves' fault that the expectations are through the fucking roof.
Yeah,
I mean, if
that's
this
true.
team fails even a little bit, the level of scrutiny, the Twitter mob, it's just going to be
Yeah,
out
the
of
100 Thieves
control.
mob.
So that's not our problem. That is the fault of 100 Thieves. They have set these guys up to only succeed. I mean, they have to succeed. Which I think they will. I mean, the roster is ridiculous. So
the thing is, the responsibility, or rather the pressure, is super high. But this is the best team that you could have assembled with the people that were available.
Yes,
I really do believe that. Unless you were planning to steal Sinatra or something like that. Like, Asuna and Dicey are a ridiculous duo to add. I can't think genuinely outside of Sinatra. Who else would you even want in that role that would have been better?
Realistically,
Yeah, sure, of course.
That's
10
about it.
Sinatra, and then that's it. And for the people on this role,
ship him over, baby. Ship him over.
Yeah, but Asuna and Dicey is a ridiculous duo. They've played together. Asuna has so much potential, but it was actually Dicey that was being the larger fragger of the two towards their later tournaments once Dicey really settled in. Enormous potential, young players, combos really well with the more veteran presences they have on the team. It seems like the roles are going to fit fairly well between them because you've got Asuna and Dicey on the more frag-hungry kind of roles, the more aggressive roles, and the rest are able to sit back and play the more role-playing kind of agents.
Yeah.
It's just a really well-formulated team. I can't see how they would fail. I mean, it's possible, but it's so unlikely.
The only way they fail is the expectations crumbling around them. And I think there's also a risk as well where we have got so much hype around players like Hiko and Steel coming into this roster. And like now it's finally being built up and structured. Whereas, I mean, let's be real here. Hiko was good in CS, but the elephant in the room in my mind is that he didn't have good showings even when, I mean, obviously 100 Thieves was not set up to succeed, but he was supposed to be the best player on that team, and at times he didn't look it. Do you understand where I'm coming out here?
Yeah. And I don't think that, I don't think I think reasonable expectations for Hiko would not be that he's going to light the world up on this team.
Yeah.
I don't think you should even really expect. Yeah, I don't think you should even really expect that Hiko's going to be the third fragger on the team. But even if Hiko is the fifth, that's still really good. That's still a very, very good team.
The thing,
I actually think Hiko should be the third fragger. I mean, he's playing Sova mainly, is what has been, not the rumor. I mean, I think he's said that on his stream.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that he should be, actually.
I was assuming that he would be playing the Smokes, actually. But I suppose
Nitro
that's
is.
Nitro then.
Yeah, Nitro's playing the Smokes. He's playing the Sova. So I think Hiko should be in the third fragger position. And I think part of the issue on the old 100 Thieves was he was just never in a good role. I never liked him on the Raze, which he was just playing constantly. And then switching him to the Omen, which was like, okay. I mean, it was not.
I don't want to sound overly harsh on Hiko in particular because I just don't want a hate mob to just come for the neck, you know? But I am a little bit concerned because I've seen it happen in many games where a player has to make a decision between whether they want to be a full-time streamer and a player. We saw it with Seagull, I think, in the Overwatch League, with XQC, I think, as well. Some very talented players, and it's very difficult to have both. There's some people that manage to do it, like Shazam, I think, just full-time streams while also coming up with a lot of strategies for his team and also playing really well. But it's such a hard ask, and I think it's a really precarious balancing act because sometimes your team is going to demand that you take the day to go over server time and you want to put the extra effort in the lead up to a tournament, and you got to sacrifice your own growth on your personal channel. It's a hard ask. It's why a lot of players are not able to do it, and that's my number one concern. Because Hiko currently is an incredibly popular content creator, and he is a very good pro player, but it's very difficult to do both.
I think, though, the chances of Hiko and Nitro and Steel all not performing at the level expected is very low. Like, you already know what you're getting from Asuna and Dicey. Even if one of those players doesn't perform at the level that you're expecting them to
They're still
perform
going
at,
to be good.
they're still going to be good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that team is still going to be successful.
Yeah. I trust more than anyone on that team. I believe in Steel. I trust Steel with my life. He'd save me from a burning building with a wireless headset, main calling for his team at the same time. I believe in Steel. He's such a good leader and the truest competitor. Literally played for nothing. I mean, next to nothing in CS for so long.
Like, what is the worst case scenario for this team in terms of placing? Like 6 through 8?
If they don't make first strike qualifiers, I think that is a big disappointment for the fans, for the organization.
Yeah.
The method in which it would have to realistically happen is that they hit other decent teams en route, and they just don't have the time together to be able to win those games. But I think they've been set up for success because they've been playing with Asuna and Dicey now for a while. This isn't a decision that, okay, they announced it today or a couple of days ago, but they didn't just start scrimming with them. They've been playing for a while together. So they have the advantage of being in a position where they can prep for this big tournament. That's already going to push them ahead of a lot of other people that are scrambling together rosters.
And if they were to lose, but they lose to a team, like, because we don't know how seeding will work, right? So you have no idea, like, is it randomly seeded? Like, how does it kind of work once it gets to the end? I
think,
let's say they match up against like a team like Sentinels, right? And they lose a close series. Are we going to still think like, oh, they're not any good? Like, well, no. Like, if they put up a good showing in their first tournament against a team like that and lose in a close series and don't place as high as we do, I don't think anyone would think differently of it.
The way the seeding should work, I mean, they haven't announced the North American qualifiers, right? The structure yet. So, I mean, they might, by the time this video is out, I'll be incredibly unlucky. But the way it should work, if based on the other regions, is like, I hope at least that they're going to look at the teams objectively, and even if they just based it off of what orgs are involved in signing these teams, and that's how they do the seeding, that's better than nothing, you know, rather than just tossing them in.
You can't do that.
You can't do that?
You can't just base it off of the org.
Well, I'm saying if that's the worst case scenario, if they want to put no effort into judging the skill level of these teams,
so
at least you can separate it so that the orgs...
random.
So you have options. You could do it random, like Josh mentioned. You can actually play it all the way through, which doesn't sound like what they're going to do from the other tournaments. It sounds like they're going to play to a moment and then stop. You can play it through and then play like kind of qualifiers, right? Or not really qualifiers, but just kind of like consolation matches. Or you could play it down to top 8 and then look at rounds 4 and rounds like against, and maybe kind of base it off of that, like how bad you were beating teams, right? At least kind of put some type like a skill component behind it. Many ways. But who the hell knows? I almost feel already they've opened up a little bit of a box, allowing all these regions to have such drastically different formats that for anybody trying to get into it and follow multiple regions, you're just gonna be, the fuck is going on?
It was already, I mean, to be fair, the first step is actually just having Riot sponsored events to make it easy to know what you're looking at. Like, you can just probably follow one channel or one site, hopefully one YouTube, and know where to find these content and games. But yes, the formats being different definitely doesn't help that cause.
Yes and no, but
I've only just noticed, have you had those RGB lights on the entire time?
Yeah.
In your little gamer den?
Yeah.
You actually are 14. I mean, we brushed over it earlier, but like, it's insane. You're just it's the rotating series of lights.
Dude, what's wrong with my lights, bro?
There's nothing. I mean, I've got LEDs, but I keep them on one setting. I got them on like the nice autumn orange. You know what I mean? So I got like that ambience going. You've got the fucking gamer setup.
Although, like, the only thing I don't like with, I mean, I agree, Bren. You're like, okay, well, you know, it's a Riot sponsor event. Maybe they'll all be on one channel. Let's say you're up and you're interested in what was going on in Korea.
Yeah.
It'll take them 10 minutes to explain to you how the fuck they got there with all these points and different things. And then what? You watch the next tournament and it's a different amount of teams. They qualified a different way with different. It's just a lot of different formats to go through.
Most people don't care though.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're just like, you won, you got through.
The one thing that I've realized in working with the Overwatch League as well is that generally speaking, the fans just want to watch matches.
Yeah.
They don't give a flying fuck really about the format.
Push the game in front of my eyeballs.
Yeah, they just want to watch matches. They want to watch
When's
their
the
favorite teams compete.
game? Put the game on.
Caster, start match.
Start the game.
Resident Sleeper.
I'm excited for what becomes the Valorant equivalent to Zoe's baking video. On the Overwatch League, whenever there's a technical issue, we always throw to the Zoe baking video. I'm excited to see what is the technical issue video for Valorant.
It'll be our show.
We just get a screen?
Yeah, just throw up this.
Hey, you know what? If there's any teams that want, we'll happily cover your team throughout all of First Strike.
Yep.
You just need to supply us with bags of money, just lots of money.
True. Yeah, this is going to conclude, I think, the
premiere episode of
premiere
the Rebirth.
episode 1 of Plat Chat Valorant, episode 13, A Clutch or Kick. We've done the little change. Who knows what we're going to title this with? I mean, we've kind of really
We'll just
cocked
come
up
up
the search.
with more formats for our show. You said people only care about the show, right? So if we just kind of keep coming up with a different name every week, everyone should be okay.
I want to see comments, though, of what segment you want added at the end. Because in Plat Chat Overwatch, we've got the Bren's Player of the Week. What segment do you want to see in our show moving forward? Because this is a fresh page. It's a new start. You know, it can be anything you want. And, whatever you say, Timmy, we might introduce. We might put it in. You're not going to get any money from it. But we might do it, we might introduce it.
Matt's Zoomer meme of the week, where Matt
tries
to.
That sounds so good. Oh my god.
Zoomer meme of the week. Yeah. There'll be links on Gibraltar, dude, or whatever the fuck it was.
The bearded boomer just trawling through Reddit trying to find something.
I was thinking about, Wyatt's winning moment of the week, but okay, it's fine.
That also works. I mean, alliteration's always cool.
Plain clothed. Not as exciting as the Zoomer meme, but
Uncle Leg's little chicken of the week, and you can pick a player who played really scared and show us a scared moment of the week.
Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Plat Chat Valorant. Make sure you like and subscribe, share the video, post it on various pieces of social media.
Put it on Pinterest.
Yeah, put it on Pinterest.
Dude, new markets. Do you want to hit new markets or not? I'm thinking 30 to 50-year-old moms.
All right, cut the tape cut.